Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. It's time for the first results from the dirt versus gravel planters. This is week 0, the start of the experiment, so to speak. And as we go through it, I'm going to go through it week by week. And if you guys don't mind, could you please leave some comments below? Let me know which you think gives the better results. You can judge it on anything you like, from color of leaves, thickness of the leaves, plants, number of plants, whatever you like. I mean, it's up to you because it is your own personal tastes. And as we go through here, I will give you a bit of my comments on what I think and why I like it. Don't let that bias you. Just definitely give me your thoughts. Here we are at week 1. Had a little bit of die-off from transit, like when the leaves get damaged a bit, or bagged up and that sort of stuff. Not much die-off, some new light leaves and whatnot, but I wasn't really expecting much for week 1. And here we're at week 2. You can see a lot of definite growth. There's more leaves on each plant, and there are more plants. And the same is true for here. The one on the right is certainly doing a lot better than the other two, but it was the larger plant to begin with. But there are new runners. There's even one runner on the left there trying to escape. And as a side-by-side, there might be a little bit more in the way of growth in the right-hand one, but like I said, when I first set this experiment up, that it had a bit of a bias from the fact that I chose slightly larger plants for it. But as we get to about week 4, I think that's going to equalize, so let's just see how it goes. So at week 3 here, lots of new plants. The thing I like the most is the fact that the plants are all looking nice and healthy. There's no dead leaves. I mean, obviously there will be dead leaves at some point in time during this, but even here like the plants are healthy, and that's what really matters. Whether or not you get, if you get 4 extra plants in one versus the other, to me that doesn't really matter too much. What I really want is, healthy growth and sustained growth, and that's what we're going to try and figure out here. So side by side, the gravel is a little denser. The plants are doing maybe a little bit better. It's hard to tell at this point. It's still quite early on. So at week 4, we're a month in now. Again, the leaves are great. Fair number of runners. It's getting to the point now that it's getting kind of crowded in the planter, which is great. This is actually what I want it to look like. A little bit more dense, but then again, we're only week 4, so that's fine. And week 4 with the dirt, at this point, I personally think that they have equalized. If whatever bias there was in the beginning for one or the other, I think at this point they're pretty much the same. And side by side, I mean, the dirt might be slightly thicker in the sense of the individual plants being a bit more robust, but I think that's really it's really hard to say. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they both look really good, and that's perfectly fine. Week 5, one dead leaf there, but that's to be expected. You're not going to get them to stay healthy forever. They will. Old leaves die, new leaves grow, and that's part of the process. But the individual plants are looking quite well. Like the broad leaves, the stalks are healthy, and that's the same for here as well, because there's nothing really I can point out that's wrong with either of them. And that's pretty much what I think of this. I mean, there is no real winner here as far as actual plant growth. I think you can make arguments for either one being better than the other. Now, the same can't be said, of course, for the initial setup. And, of course, if you have any kind of diggers. Gravel alone has much more to say for it, in the sense that if you have anybody getting in here and doing any kind of rooting around, you're not going to get any kind of dirt getting released to the tank. That sort of aesthetic problems with pollution from like I said, dirt just floating around and having to gravel vacuum that up, that sort of stuff. But from a purely plant growth point, I think they're both doing very well. I mean, obviously I'm going to run this experiment for a lot longer than just 2 months. I won't be doing any more week by weeks, but I'll probably, like for the next update for this, what I'll do is I'll do a monthly, and then we'll do the same sort of thing. We'll see how it is in 6 months, a year, or whatever down the road. So what we're going to do here is going to finish up the last 2 weeks. There really isn't that much change. I mean, I've asked a couple people trying to get an independent, unbiased view from just like, there weren't fish people. They were just someone I wanted to ask, and they were around. I said, "Here, which one do you like the most?" And one picked one, one picked the other, of course, just to make life interesting. So I can't really tell the difference. Week 7. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. It's healthy. This is just gravel. It's growing, well, like a weed. And now the planter is getting to the point where it's nice and full. The thing I like about it the most, though, is you see the detritus in the bottom there? I actually like that because it gives me a view of what's going on underneath, and it's kind of neat. I prefer that to the dirt in the sense because the dirt kind of hides all that. But that has nothing to do with it growing properly. I mean, this is a healthy plant, and over in the other planter, it is just as healthy. I mean, maybe the plants might be slightly thicker here in the sense of individual plants having more broader stalks, that sort of stuff. But other than that, I mean, there really is no difference between the two. I think I have a couple extra escapees on this one. You can see them in the back on the left there. They're kind of hidden by the other plants growing in the tank now, but there's nothing really wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with the other one either. My personal preference obviously is just straight gravel. I suspect if I had chosen a harder to grow plant, that there might be a bigger difference between the two. But this is a nice middle road plant. It's not the easiest to grow. It's not the hardest. But like I said, this is pretty good. So we're going to go to the final week. And as always, if you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. And definitely leave me lots of comments. I really like those. I appreciate it. They don't have to be positive. They don't have to be negative. They just have to be what you think between the two of them. And definitely let me know, because aesthetics is a personal sort of thing. Different people look at these two things side by side and we'll see different things. And I am really interested in knowing what that is. So week 8 here, coming up shortly. Like I said, the plants, I mean, you couldn't ask for better growth. This is doing really nice. This is under 2 LED light strips. I mean, they're 10K and they're really high quality LED light strips, but there's nothing wrong with this. This is just good. I like this. This is what I wanted. This is the kind of result I was hoping for, because when I do this for a client, what I do is I just make the tray shorter. I start the plants off, I get them growing properly, and then I just take this whole tray and I bury it under the gravel in their tank. And that way they get a fast-grown plant. I mean, it's an instant satisfaction. It's kind of the thing you need to aim for these days. People want everything and they want it quickly. So, like I said, there's no real difference between the two of them. I mean, the other one and this one, they're both growing nicely. I like the thickness, like the extra amounts of plants in the other one. But I honestly don't think there's a significant amount of difference in the actual growth to pick one over the other. And then from my perspective, it's just I can't really use dirt in a client's tank unless it gives me a significant difference. And I mean significant in the sense that it is going to grow way better than one or the other. So that would be how I would choose to do this. So anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. And there they are, side by side. If you like one or the other, just let me know. All right? And I will talk to you next week. And again, thanks very much for watching. And as always, bye for now.